Building their dream homes cost 19 Hollywood legends everything: their sanity, their freedom, and in one case, their life. Behind the marble and gold of these estates lay architectural monuments to obsession, paranoia, and forbidden love. Hidden tunnels for secret affairs, bedrooms designed to spy on guests, recorded confessions, and one construction that ended in tragedy. Jean Harlo's secret tunnel, Harold Lloyd's surveillance palace, Billy Wilder's real Norma Desmond, Clark Gable's ranch that rejected Hollywood. 19 mansions, 19 secrets. But first, we begin with a mansion painted entirely pink, and the color that refused to let its owner rest in peace. Jane Mansfield. She painted her 40-room Sunset Boulevard mansion entirely pink. Every surface, every room, even the doghouse. The heart-shaped swimming pool sparkled pink in the California sun. Pink Cadillacs lined the circular drive. Inside, pink telephones sat on pink tables. Pink champagne bubbled in pink glasses, and pink carpet stretched wall to wall through every room. But what the world didn't know was that after her tragic passing, the pink refused to disappear. When singer Engelbert Humperdinck purchased the estate, he immediately hired painters to cover the nightmare. They applied coat after coat of beige, of white, of anything to erase the bubblegum color. The pink bled through. Layer upon layer, the original color emerged again, as if Mansfield's desperate bid for attention had soaked too thoroughly into the structure itself. This wasn't whimsy or playful decoration. Every architectural choice served the manufacturing of Jane Mansfield, the brand, distinct from Vera Jane Palmer, the woman. The city of Los Angeles issued violation notices. Neighbors filed formal complaints. None of it mattered. Mansfield had hired a press agent to live on site full-time for one purpose: photographing every pink surface, every pink moment, ensuring the mansion appeared in magazines and newspapers worldwide. The Pink Palace shouted her presence to Hollywood, demanded attention, and refused to be ignored. Studio executives had declared her too voluptuous, too platinum, too obviously constructed to compete with Marilyn Monroe's seemingly natural allure. Mansfield's response was to lean harder into artifice, to make her entire domestic environment part of the performance. The mansion became her most elaborate costume, worn 24 hours daily. If anyone had discovered the truth, that maintaining the Pink Palace required round-the-clock staff, that every photograph was staged, that the spontaneous poolside moments were choreographed publicity events, her entire carefully constructed image would have collapsed. The pressure to maintain the performance never stopped. After June 1967, when Mansfield perished in a devastating car accident on a Louisiana highway, the Pink Palace transformed overnight from publicity stunt to macabre memorial. Tourists drove past slowly, pointing at the pink walls where the blonde bombshell had lived and passed away. Later owners discovered the same haunting truth. The pink couldn't be eliminated, only covered temporarily before it emerged again, a ghost of ambition that outlasted the woman who had wielded it. The mansion that had screamed for life became inseparable from tragedy, and pink transformed from playful to haunting. The color of cotton candy became the color of fatal ambition. George Hodel, the Soden House. Mansfield's pink refused to fade, bleeding through every attempt to erase it. But what happens when an entire mansion becomes a crime scene, and the owner's own voice on police recordings confesses to an unspeakable act? The Soden House in Los Angeles looks like a Mayan temple transported to Hollywood. Fortress walls, geometric patterns hiding secret passages. And in 1947, the Los Angeles Police Department secretly recorded its owner, Dr. George Hodel, saying these exact words: "Supposing I did end the Black Dahlia, they can't prove it now. The mansion sat directly adjacent to the vacant lot where Elizabeth Short's severed body was discovered that same year. Coincidence? The architecture suggests otherwise. Dr. George Hodel was a physician whose practice catered to Hollywood's elite, a man who hosted legendary parties where artists and film stars gathered beneath the mansion's distinctive angular architecture designed by Lloyd. When the LAPD suspected Hodel of involvement in Elizabeth Short's case, officers installed listening devices throughout the mansion. The tapes captured that chilling near confession. The basement formed a maze of connected rooms. A soundproof music room could muffle any noise. Secret passages connected different areas, allowing movement without being seen. Hodel maintained a medical office within the mansion, complete with surgical instruments capable of the precise harm inflicted on Elizabeth Short's body. On January 15, 1947, Betty Bersinger walked through a vacant lot near 39th Street and Norton Avenue. She noticed what appeared to be a broken mannequin in the weeds. Moving closer, she realized with horror that the bisected form was human. The body had been severed at the waist, posed with arms raised and legs spread. The face bore cuts forming a grotesque smile from ear to ear. The victim was Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old aspiring actress the press would immortalize as the Black Dahlia. Despite the recordings and circumstantial evidence, prosecutors never filed charges. Hodel's connections ran too extensively through Los Angeles society. In 1950, Hodel fled to the Philippines, never returning to face questions. After his passing in 1999, his son Steve, a retired LAPD homicide detective, investigated his own father and published his conclusion. George Hodel had ended Elizabeth Short's life in the basement of the Soden House, then transported and posed her body in the adjacent lot, confident his connections would prevent prosecution. The mansion still stands on Franklin Avenue. The fortress-like walls weren't just aesthetic choices. They were functional barriers hiding whatever occurred in the soundproof rooms beneath. The evidence points overwhelmingly to one conclusion. The Soden House didn't just witness a terrible crime. It enabled one, and wealth-insured justice never entered its doors. Errol Flynn. The Soden House hid terrible crimes through architecture. But what if a mansion concealed treason that could have changed World War II? Errol Flynn embodied swashbuckling heroism on screen, his sword fights and daring escapes in films like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, establishing him as Hollywood's ultimate action star. Women swooned. Men wanted to be him. Studio publicity presented Flynn as the living embodiment of fearless masculine virtue. The mansion he built on Mulholland Drive in 1941 seemed perfectly suited to his image. Ultra-modern, glass-walled, perched dramatically overlooking Los Angeles. The parties Flynn hosted there became legendary, filled with Hollywood's most beautiful people, champagne flowing as freely as conversation. But the Federal Bureau of Investigation saw something far more sinister unfolding beneath the glamour. Agents noticed Flynn's close association with a German national named Dr. Hermann Friedrich Erben, a man suspected of gathering intelligence for the Third Reich. They documented Flynn's pattern of relationships with individuals connected to Axis powers. When Bureau analysts examined Flynn's mansion more carefully, they discovered features inconsistent with a simple party house. Hidden rooms existed behind bookcases, accessible only to those who knew the mechanisms. Guest bedrooms contained two-way mirrors, allowing observation from concealed spaces. Recording equipment was built into walls, positioned to capture conversations throughout the main entertaining areas. On the roof, a powerful telescope pointed not at stars, but at military installations visible across the Los Angeles basin. Was Flynn using his parties to gather information from loose-lipped military officers and defense contractors? The Bureau's files, released through Freedom of Information Act requests in the 1980s, confirm extensive surveillance of Flynn from 1942 through 1943. Agents recorded his movements, photographed his visitors, documented his contacts with suspected Axis sympathizers. The investigation never resulted in charges. Some historians argue the Bureau lacked sufficient evidence to prosecute. Others suggest Flynn's value as a morale-boosting film star outweighed the security risk. But historians who've examined the FBI files reach a more nuanced conclusion. Flynn was likely what intelligence agencies call a useful fool. His mansion designed for pleasure, not espionage. But his loose-lipped guests and sophisticated recording equipment made him valuable to German intelligence, whether he fully understood it or not. The architecture didn't make him a spy. It made him a perfect asset. Flynn himself never addressed the allegations publicly, maintaining his playboy persona until his passing from a heart attack in 1959 at age 50. The Mulholland Mansion was demolished in 1988, without the physical structure to examine, without the hidden rooms and surveillance equipment to analyze. Absolute certainty remains elusive. But the FBI reports and architectural evidence paint a damning picture. Hollywood's great hero may have betrayed his adopted country, and the mansion held the proof in its walls. Jean Harlo. Flynn's mansion hid possible betrayal of the nation. But the next estate we're entering concealed something far more intimate. And when its secret finally emerged, it revealed the only genuine love story in this entire collection. Jean Harlo's platinum blonde hair and slinky gowns made her the ultimate 1930s symbol of allure. Studios marketed her as an available, dangerous woman who could steal any man from any wife. Fan magazine photographs showed her lounging in elegant mansions, always alone or surrounded by admirers, reinforcing the image of a woman who belonged to everyone and no one. The reality couldn't have been more different. Harlo's heart belonged entirely to one man, William Powell, the sophisticated leading man known for playing detectives and debonair gentlemen. But both faced an impossible problem. The studio system controlled their images. Powell was marketed as an eligible bachelor, Harlo as a siren. A serious relationship between them would disrupt carefully constructed publicity narratives. Marriage would have been career sabotage for both. So they built a solution into architecture. Harlo purchased an elegant mansion on Club View Drive in Beverly Hills. Powell owned the neighboring estate. Between the two properties, hidden beneath carefully maintained gardens, they constructed an underground passage. The tunnel featured electric lighting, a ventilation system ensuring fresh air circulation, and locked doors at both ends to prevent accidental discovery by staff. When darkness fell, Harlo could slip from her bedroom, descend a concealed stairway, and emerge in Powell's home without being photographed, without being seen, without the world knowing the truth. They maintained this arrangement for years, conducting a genuine love affair while publicly dating other people for publicity purposes. The tunnel allowed them hours together in complete privacy, a subterranean space where they could finally stop performing and simply be themselves. The tunnel remained secret until 1937, when Harlo passed away suddenly at age 26 from kidney failure. The estate sale inventory included the underground passage, shocking those who had believed the public relations version of Harlo's life. Powell's reaction at her funeral finally made sense. The sophisticated actor who usually maintained perfect composure wept openly, devastated in a way that confused observers who didn't know about their hidden relationship. He never married, carrying his love for Harlo for another 26 years until his own passing in 1963. The tunnels served true love in an industry that commodified romance, that demanded stars remain available fantasies for audiences. In the darkness beneath Beverly Hills, away from cameras and publicity agents. Two people who couldn't publicly acknowledge their relationship found a way to be together. The architecture allowed authenticity that the world above ground forbade. In a collection of mansions built for control, obsession, and deception, only Harlo's tunnel was built for love. Mae West, if these architectural secrets are shocking you, subscribe now, because what we're about to reveal gets even stranger. Harlo built her tunnel to hide real love from the world. But what if you built an entire apartment, every room, every surface, every mirror, not to hide love, but to perform allure constantly, even when absolutely no one was watching? Mae West didn't just play goddesses on screen. She inhabited the role every waking moment for 5 decades, transforming her very apartment into a 3-dimensional manifestation of her brand. The Ravenswood apartment building in Los Angeles became home to West in 1930, and she never left, occupying the same unit until her passing at age 87 in 1980. Every surface gleamed white or gold. Mirrors covered walls from floor to ceiling, including the bedroom ceiling. Custom furniture pieces functioned as what West called conversation pieces. Beds shaped like shells, couches designed to force intimate proximity, chairs that required specific postures evoking classical statuary. The apartment wasn't designed for comfort. Every element served allure or the performance of allure. Staff members recalled that she never allowed them into the apartment without her presence, maintaining absolute control over the space and who experienced it. Most remarkably, West slept exclusively in white satin sheets, changed daily for 50 consecutive years. Even in her 80s, when no cameras would capture her sleeping arrangements, West maintained this ritual. She wore full makeup and costume jewelry inside the apartment when alone, as if audience members might materialize at any moment. By the 3rd decade, staff realized it was something else entirely. She couldn't stop. A maid once accidentally moved a perfume bottle on the vanity. Mae noticed immediately, screaming that the positioning was wrong. She spent 6 hours repositioning every object, consulting photographs from 1932 to ensure exact placement. This wasn't a performance anymore. It was compulsion. The line between Mae West, the performer, and whoever existed beneath the persona had dissolved so completely that no private self remained. Friends who visited noticed something haunting. Mae would sometimes catch sight of herself in the ceiling mirrors and startle, as if she'd forgotten she was there. In her final year, when age had ravaged the face she'd spent 5 decades maintaining, she stopped looking at mirrors entirely, but couldn't bring herself to remove them. The apartment that had been her stage became her prison, lined with reflections of a woman she no longer recognized. After her passing, the estate inventory documented everything preserved exactly as it had been in 1930. The apartment was a monument to a decision made once and maintained forever. To never stop performing, never step off stage, never reveal if a real woman existed beneath the goddess costume. Harold Lloyd. West performed allure until her final day. But one comedy legend built his mansion for an entirely different purpose: to watch everyone around him without ever being seen himself. Harold Lloyd made audiences laugh with his daredevil comedy, dangling from clock towers and performing life-defying stunts that made him one of silent film's biggest stars. Off-screen, the comedian who appeared so carefree revealed a drastically different personality through the mansion he built. Green Acres, Lloyd's 44-room Italian Renaissance palazzo in Benedict Canyon, sprawled across 16 acres of meticulously landscaped grounds. The Olympic-sized cantilevered swimming pool became famous, featured in photographs showcasing Hollywood glamour. But this elegant exterior masked an elaborate surveillance system that would have impressed a Cold War intelligence agency. Secret passages honeycombed the mansion, allowing Lloyd to move through the building without being seen. Two-way mirrors in staff quarters let him observe servants without their knowledge. He installed an early closed-circuit camera system, monitoring employees as they worked. Panic rooms disguised as ordinary closets provided secure spaces if he felt threatened. Hidden staircases allowed Lloyd to appear suddenly in any area of the mansion, ensuring staff never knew when he might materialize. Those who worked at Greenacres described a pervasive sense of being watched constantly, unable to relax even during break periods, because Lloyd might be observing through hidden mechanisms. The mansion that generated laughter on screen became a fortress of mistrust behind closed doors. The paranoia intensified after 1962, when Lloyd suffered a devastating accident while pursuing his hobby of photography. Handling explosive flash powder, he triggered a detonation that destroyed his right thumb and 2 fingers. The injury left lasting effects on him, amplifying existing tendencies toward suspicion and control. He added more surveillance equipment, more hidden observation points, more ways to monitor everyone around him without being detected. Staff turnover increased as workers fled the oppressive atmosphere. When Lloyd passed away in 1971, the estate inventory revealed dozens of concealed rooms and passages even family members hadn't known existed. The mansion built for laughter contained architectural manifestations of profound mistrust. Lloyd, who made millions by appearing vulnerable and relatable on screen, constructed a fortress of control in private, unable or unwilling to extend to his employees the trust his audiences gave him so freely. Rudolph Valentino. If Lloyd monitored his staff obsessively, what happened when a star built walls to keep out the entire world itself? Rudolph Valentino drove women to hysteria. His 1920s films established him as the Latin lover, the ultimate object of feminine desire. Women fainted at theater screenings. Fans mobbed him on the street. Studios marketed his mysterious exotic appeal, his smoldering intensity, his dangerous foreign passion. The pressure of being desired by millions while unable to live authentically became unbearable. In 1925, Valentino purchased Falcon Lair, a mansion in Benedict Canyon, strategically positioned on a remote hilltop, accessible only by a steep, winding private road designed to discourage casual visitors. The mansion's design emphasized isolation above all else. High walls and security gates prevented uninvited approach. Private courtyards allowed outdoor relaxation without being visible to anyone outside the property. Inside, visitors described a surprisingly austere environment that shocked those expecting decadent luxury. Valentino's bedroom resembled a monk's cell. A single narrow bed, a crucifix on the wall, minimal furniture, an atmosphere of deliberate denial and restraint. This was the bedroom of a man who wanted to escape the expectations of allure, not embrace it. Valentino spent his private hours at Falcon Lair, riding horses through the property's extensive grounds. The physical exertion and animal companionship offering relief from the constant performance of desire his public life demanded. The stable housed more luxury than his own bedroom, revealing where his authentic passions truly lay. When Valentino passed away suddenly at age 31 from complications following appendix surgery, the estate sale revealed his private papers. Diaries disclosed profound loneliness, a sense of imprisonment in an image that suffocated his authentic self. Later biographers, examining these documents and interviewing surviving friends, concluded that Valentino's relationships with women were largely studio fabrications, that his genuine emotional and romantic connections were with men. But the diaries revealed something even Valentino's closest confidants never knew. Before coming to America, he had been involved with a man in Italy, a relationship that ended when his companion perished in the Great War. Falcon Lair wasn't just a fortress against public scrutiny. It was a memorial to the only relationship Hollywood could never know existed. A space where Valentino tried to reconcile the person he'd loved with the persona he was forced to project. The fortress walls weren't keeping fans out. They were keeping the manufactured persona from destroying what remained of the man beneath it. The man who had once loved freely before Hollywood taught him to hide. Ned Dohaney. Greystone Mansion. Valentino built walls against the world. But one star's mansion became a literal crime scene when family secrets exploded into violence that wealth and power quickly buried. The Greystone Mansion rises in Beverly Hills like a monument to American oil wealth. 55 rooms sprawl across 46,000 square feet. Oil tycoon Edward Dohaney built the estate in 1928 for his son Ned, sparing no expense. The $3 million construction cost represented generational fortune, the kind of wealth that could withstand any scandal, or so the family believed. On February 16, 1929, just months after construction was completed, police discovered 2 bodies in Ned Dohaney's master bedroom. Ned lay unresponsive, a wound to his head. Beside him, his personal secretary Hugh Plunkett, also unresponsive from a similar wound. The family immediately declared the scene a tragedy of temporary insanity. Plunkett had taken Ned's life, then his own. A terrible tragedy, but nothing more complicated. The investigation should have ended there, but servants told different stories. They reported hearing violent arguments before the incident. They saw multiple people fleeing the mansion in automobiles before police arrived. They noticed evidence had been moved, the scene altered before authorities entered the bedroom. District attorneys convened a grand jury, suspicious of the too convenient narrative. The investigation revealed details the Dohaney family desperately wanted hidden. Ned and Hugh had been more than employer and secretary. Their relationship extended beyond professional boundaries in ways that, if publicly confirmed, would destroy the family's reputation in an era that criminalized such connections. The bedroom where both men perished told a story the official version couldn't explain. Why would a secretary bent on harm position the body so carefully? Why were there signs of multiple wounds when the official story claimed only 2? The grand jury examined evidence, interviewed witnesses, and documented inconsistencies. Then, quietly, the investigation ended. No charges were filed. The Dohaney family's wealth and political connections proved sufficient to bury the truth along with the bodies. The master bedroom was sealed, left untouched for years, as if preserving the crime scene might somehow contain the scandal within its walls. Later owners of Greystone reported that the bedroom retained an oppressive atmosphere, a sense of violence and secret still clinging to the walls decades later. The mansion became a favorite filming location for Gothic thrillers and mysteries, directors drawn to its authentic darkness. But the real horror had already occurred there. A double tragedy arising from forbidden love in an era that demanded such feelings remain absolutely hidden, even if hiding them led to these terrible events. The fortress built to showcase Dohaney wealth instead became a tomb for secrets that money could bury but never erase. Bing Crosby. Greystone's bedroom held serious secrets behind closed doors. But how does a man design isolation chambers for his own children? Bing Crosby crooned "White Christmas" into American hearts, his warm baritone and easygoing screen presence establishing him as the ultimate wholesome family man. Radio shows featured his affectionate banter with fictional children. Films cast him as understanding fathers and kindly priests. Fan magazines photographed his Holmby Hills estate, emphasizing the swimming pool where his 4 sons played, the screening room for cozy movie nights together. The architectural reality told a drastically different story that wouldn't emerge for decades. The compound Crosby built segregated family members with deliberate precision. A soundproofed music room allowed Bing to retreat for days without interruption. The boys' wings sat deliberately isolated from the main house, separated by courtyards and hallways. An intercom system connected every room, but functioned in only one direction. Bing could listen to any space in the mansion, monitoring conversations and activities. His sons couldn't communicate back, couldn't know if he was listening at any given moment. The liquor cabinet and pantry both featured locks. Bing controlled all food, using meals as reward and punishment. High exterior walls prevented the boys from leaving without permission. They couldn't visit friends, couldn't attend events, couldn't experience normal childhood freedom. His sons Gary and Philip later published memoirs detailing the emotional isolation and physical punishment the mansion's design enabled. The soundproofing that let Bing practice his crooning also muffled discipline sessions. The isolated children's wing meant no witnesses. After Gary's 1995 autobiography, Going My Own Way, revealed the truth, the public struggled to reconcile the warm radio personality with the controlling patriarch who had used architecture as a weapon against his own children. But Crosby's second family, born after he married Carrie Grant in the late 1950s, reported completely different experiences. Bing had the mansion architecturally modified, adding connecting hallways to children's rooms, removing isolation features, and dismantling the one-way intercom. His younger children described a loving, involved father who attended school events and showed genuine affection. This transformation suggests Crosby learned from his failures. The mansion enabled both versions of Bing Crosby: the harsh father who isolated and controlled, and the reformed parent who dismantled those same control mechanisms. The question that haunts the estate is whether the architecture created the harsh parent, or whether he simply found expression through architecture. Joan Crawford. Which of these architectural obsessions surprises you most? Drop a comment and let us know what Golden Age topic we should explore next. Scandals, forgotten stars, or Hollywood's hidden history? Because what's coming next reveals how architecture couldn't just control the living. It could blur the boundary between life and performance, until nothing remained but the role. The feud between Bette Davis and Joan Crawford transcended typical Hollywood rivalry. After they co-starred in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, their mutual hatred intensified. But for Crawford, the film did something far more dangerous. It gave her a new character to inhabit at the exact moment her film career was ending. Crawford's Brentwood mansion became the battleground where she staged increasingly bizarre performances. Life-sized photographic cutouts of herself appeared in ground floor windows. Neighbors saw Joan Crawford watching them from multiple windows simultaneously. Inside, Crawford redecorated her bedroom to mirror Baby Jane's decaying mansion. Friends reported Crawford speaking in Baby Jane's voice, unable to separate herself from the role. She hosted dinner parties dressed as Baby Jane, forcing guests to participate in her delusion. The all-white decor began deteriorating. She stopped allowing proper cleaning, creating the decrepit atmosphere that Baby Jane inhabited. Christina Crawford would later reveal in her memoir, Mommy Dearest, that this mansion had been an architectural instrument of control throughout her childhood. The children's wing sat deliberately isolated. An intercom system monitored their rooms. The all-white surfaces became tools of punishment. Children were forced to clean and re-clean until perfection was achieved. An impossible standard ensuring constant failure and discipline. Arguments echoed through the mansion during Crawford's final years, but no second person was present. Neighbors reported hearing Crawford screaming at her own voice, playing back recordings and responding to them. She would stand before mirrors for hours, rehearsing scenes, perfecting expressions. The woman who had used the mansion to control her children was now trapped by it. After Crawford's passing in 1977, the estate cleaning crew discovered dozens of her portraits hidden throughout the walls. Many had been vandalized, faces scratched out, eyes gouged, features obliterated. The mansion revealed a woman who had lost the ability to distinguish between Joan Crawford, the actress, and baby Jane Hudson, the character. Christina published her account. The mansion became infamous. Joan's younger daughters disputed Christina's version, creating ambiguity about what truly occurred. The mansion was eventually demolished, but the wire hanger incident and the oppressive white decor became cultural references for how carefully constructed images can hide profound darkness. Carrie Grant. Crawford lost herself in performance until nothing remained. But another star deliberately used his mansion to find himself through transformation that most would consider unusual. Cary Grant embodied sophisticated masculinity on film. His impeccable timing, elegant wardrobe, and unflappable composure in films from The Philadelphia Story to North by Northwest established him as Hollywood's ideal gentleman. Off-screen, Grant struggled with profound insecurity rooted in a challenging childhood. Born Archibald Leach in working-class Bristol, England, he had reinvented himself so thoroughly that colleagues forgot an authentic person existed beneath the performance. In the late 1950s, Grant discovered alternative therapy, then a legal psychiatric treatment used to help patients confront repressed issues through supervised experiences. He converted multiple rooms of his Beverly Hills mansion into therapeutic spaces designed specifically for consciousness exploration. Specialized color-changing lighting systems created controlled environments for therapeutic experiences. Sound-dampening materials on the walls ensured privacy and reduced external stimulation that might trigger difficult reactions. Medical monitoring equipment allowed his psychiatrist, Dr. Mortimer Hartman, to track vital signs during sessions. Grant brought Hartman to live in the mansion's guest house, ensuring immediate access to professional supervision if experiences became overwhelming. Over the following years, Grant underwent more than 100 supervised therapeutic sessions in these converted rooms, each lasting 6 to 8 hours, each designed to help him access buried memories and confront psychological barriers that traditional therapy couldn't reach. The mansion became a chrysalis for psychological transformation. Grant described the experience publicly, crediting the therapy with saving his life. In interviews, he spoke frankly about confronting his shame over his working-class origins, his fear of intimacy that had contributed to 3 failed marriages, his construction of Cary Grant as a defensive persona protecting Archibald Leach from rejection. But the mansion's transformation came at a cost few knew about. During one particularly intense session, Grant experienced what his psychiatrist called a complete ego dissolution, emerging convinced he'd destroyed the Cary Grant persona entirely. For 3 days, he couldn't remember how to be the character he'd played for decades. Forgot his practiced gestures, his mid-Atlantic accent, his entire constructed identity. The mansion that healed him had briefly erased him completely. It took weeks to rebuild himself, this time consciously choosing which parts of each identity to keep, which to release. The therapeutic rooms allowed him to deconstruct himself in safety, to examine the architecture of his psyche with the same attention he had given to the architectural design of his mansion. By the mid-1960s, after achieving what he called his breakthrough, Grant sold the mansion. The physical space had served its purpose. He no longer needed rooms designed for transformation because the transformation had occurred. Grant's later years revealed a man more comfortable with himself, able to discuss his working-class past without shame, capable of genuine emotional connection with his 5th wife and daughter. The mansion's converted therapy rooms represented architecture in service of healing, spaces deliberately designed not for performance, but for the dismantling of performance, allowing an icon to finally become authentically human. In a collection of mansions that trapped their owners in manufactured personas, only Grant's was designed to set him free. The Norma Desmond mansion. Grant used his mansion to explore inner space. But one silent film goddess created hers as a literal shrine to outer image, projecting her vanished glory onto the world until reality and illusion became indistinguishable. In the early 1940s, a former silent film star whose name Billy Wilder never revealed lived in a crumbling mansion on Wilshire Boulevard. Once grand, the estate had deteriorated as her career and fortune evaporated with the advent of sound films. The gardens grew wild. Paint peeled from walls. The roof leaked during rain. But the owner refused to acknowledge decay, living in complete denial of her changed circumstances. She conceived an architectural delusion that would inspire one of cinema's greatest films, replacing the mansion's windows with translucent screens that could serve as projection surfaces. From inside, she could use a film projector to display her old silent movies onto these screens, effectively turning every window into a movie screen visible from the street. Passers-by could see her flickering image, young and beautiful and silent, projected onto the mansion itself as if the building had become a monument to her former glory. She fired servants who suggested repairs or mentioned her current age, maintaining the fiction that time had stopped. She redecorated the interior exclusively with portraits and photographs of herself at peak beauty, removing anything that reflected present reality. Mirrors were banned. They told truths the projection screens could erase. She hosted premieres of her old films, but invited no guests. She would set up the projector, arrange chairs in the ballroom, then watch her younger self perform for an audience of none, applauding at the end as if thousands still adored her. Billy Wilder visited this mansion while researching Sunset Boulevard, seeking authentic details for Norma Desmond's Gothic lair. He found them in abundance. The projection screens in windows, the portraits cover every wall, the refusal to acknowledge the present, the performances for invisible audiences. He used these exact elements in his film, creating Norma Desmond as an almost documentary portrait of the real woman living in the real crumbling mansion. The star passed away in 1957, discovered in her bedroom surrounded by her own images, the projector still running, still displaying her youth onto the window screens for a world that had long stopped watching. Wilder never revealed her identity, protecting her even in passing, taking the secret to his own grave. The mansion was demolished before it could become a macabre tourist attraction. But Sunset Boulevard immortalized the psychological truth Wilder witnessed there. A woman so unable to accept time's passage that she literally rebuilt her environment to reflect only her vanished glory, projecting the past onto the present until the boundary between them dissolved. Billy Wilder's protection of her anonymity transformed her story into something universal. She wasn't just one forgotten star. She was every silent film actress Hollywood discarded when sound arrived. Every woman who built her identity on beauty that time inevitably steals. Every performer who confused the role with reality until nothing remained but the performance. Wilder didn't need to name her. She could have been any of them. The mansion's windows projected the truth about what Hollywood does to its icons when their moment passes and the industry moves on without looking back. Liberace, that star, projected the past onto her walls. But another performer built his mansion to hide the present from the world. And the hiding place revealed just how far fame forced people to deceive. Liberace glittered with rhinestones and candlelight, his flamboyant stage shows and over-the-top costumes making him one of the highest-paid entertainers of the 1950s and 60s. The Cloisters, his Las Vegas mansion, featured the famous candelabras, mirrored ceilings, and a swimming pool shaped like a piano, architectural embodiments of his public persona. Fan magazines photographed these extravagant spaces extensively, reinforcing Liberace's image as a fantastical showman. What magazines didn't photograph was the separate guest wing that held his deepest secret. This architecturally distinct section of the mansion featured its own private entrance from the street, a luxurious bedroom suite rivaling the master in size and appointments, complete with its own sitting area and bathroom, and a concealed passage through the gardens connecting directly to Liberace's bedroom. The passage was carefully landscaped with tall hedges to ensure complete privacy. For 5 years, from 1977 to 1982, this wing housed Scott Thorson, officially Liberace's chauffeur and bodyguard, actually his romantic partner. The mansion's design created completely separate public and private lives under one roof. When the media toured the property, the guest wing remained locked and unmentioned. Staff members were instructed to maintain the fiction, to refer to Thorson only as a household employee, never acknowledging the connecting passage or the relationship it served. Unlike Valentino, who built walls to hide completely, Liberace's architecture revealed a different strategy: hiding in plain sight. The most flamboyant performer in America used outrageous showmanship as camouflage, building his secret relationship into the foundation while everyone focused on the rhinestones and candelabras. The guest wing wasn't a fortress. It was a hiding place in the middle of a circus. After Liberace's passing from complications in 1987, Thorson filed a palimony lawsuit, finally revealing the truth about the guest wing and their relationship. The trial became a media sensation, exposing how deliberately the mansion's architecture had enabled Liberace's closeted existence. The separate entrance meant Thorson could come and go without being photographed with Liberace. The connecting garden passage allowed them to be together privately, while maintaining the illusion of separate lives for any unexpected visitors. Later owners discovered love letters and personal photographs hidden in the guest wing's walls during renovation, physical evidence of the genuine relationship the architecture had been designed to conceal. Liberace's estate was valued at $115 million. Thorson received nothing, legally unrecognized because the relationship itself had been legally unspeakable in that era. The mansion had successfully kept the secret while Liberace lived. Only after his passing did the architectural deception become visible, revealing how even the most flamboyant performer still felt compelled to hide his authentic self behind carefully designed walls. The tragedy wasn't the deception. It was that the deception was necessary. Marian Davies, Hearst Castle. Liberace's mansion separated public and private identities, but one star's estate imprisoned her in gilded captivity, where architecture became the bars of an invisible cage. Hearst Castle rises from the California coastline like a European fantasy transplanted to America. William Randolph Hearst spared absolutely no expense, constructing the 165-room estate for his mistress, Marian Davies. 127 acres of grounds included a private zoo with exotic animals. The Neptune pool gleamed with gold tiles imported from Europe. Casa Grande, the main house, featured Gothic bedrooms and priceless art collections worth millions. For Marian Davies, this architectural splendor became a luxurious prison that would consume 30 years of her life. Her Gothic suite offered ocean views and a private terrace, decorated to her personal specifications with the finest furnishings money could purchase. But she couldn't leave the castle without Hearst's explicit permission, couldn't make the journey to Los Angeles or San Francisco without his approval. Friends couldn't visit unless Hearst approved them first, screening her social connections like a jealous warden. The telephone in her suite connected through a switchboard Hearst monitored, ensuring he knew every call she made or received, every conversation she had with the outside world. The architecture itself enforced control through design. Marian's suite was accessible only by passing through Hearst's rooms, meaning she couldn't come or go without him knowing, and couldn't move through the castle without his awareness. Staff members noted she seemed like a beautiful bird in a golden cage, surrounded by magnificence but unable to fly, trapped by luxury rather than bars. For 30 years, Marian lived this way, lavished with architectural grandeur but denied fundamental freedom. She believed herself Hearst's partner, believed the castle was partially hers through their decades together, and believed the life they'd built meant something beyond a business arrangement. When Hearst passed away in 1951, Marian discovered the truth with brutal clarity. Millicent Hearst, the legal wife Hearst had never divorced, immediately ordered Marian evicted from the castle. Marian owned nothing. Legally, she was a guest who had overstayed her welcome by 3 decades. 30 years of companionship meant nothing without a marriage certificate or legal protection. She was removed from the estate and forbidden from returning to the only home she'd known since the 1920s. Hearst Castle became a California state monument. Tours highlighting Hearst's vision and wealth and architectural ambition. Marian was erased from the official narrative. Her 3 decades of imprisonment in gilded rooms dismissed as if she had never existed, as if her presence had been incidental to the castle's story. Later, historians worked to restore her presence in the castle's history, to acknowledge that the Gothic suite housed a real woman whose freedom was given up to a powerful man's desire for control. The most lavish estate in America had been a prison with gold bars, and Marian Davies served a 30-year sentence for the crime of loving a man who could never truly make her his equal. Clifton Webb. Davies was trapped in her castle by a controlling man, but another star was imprisoned by his own mind. And the architectural shrine he built revealed a psychological dependence that never ended, even in the grave. Clifton Webb embodied sophisticated taste in films like Laura and Sitting Pretty, playing elegant bachelors and acerbic intellectuals who charmed audiences with razor-sharp wit. His elegant Rexford Drive mansion in Beverly Hills showcased impeccable interior design. His legendary dinner parties featured the most interesting people in Hollywood, and his sharp wit made him a sought-after guest everywhere in elite society. But beneath the polished exterior lived a man who had never psychologically separated from his mother. And when she passed away, the mansion revealed the depth of his arrested development. Mabel Webb had accompanied Clifton throughout his life, living with him, managing his household, functioning as his constant companion and the center of his universe. When she passed away in 1960, Webb's response revealed the depth of his dependence. He preserved her bedroom exactly as it had been at the moment of her passing. Clothes remained hanging in her closet, arranged by color and season exactly as she'd left them. Perfume bottles sat on her vanity, positioned precisely where her hands had last placed them. Fresh flowers appeared on her nightstand daily, replaced by staff following Webb's instructions as if she might still smell them. Her bed was made every morning, as if she might return to sleep in it that evening. Webb instructed his household to maintain the room perpetually, to clean and dust and care for it, as if Mabel still occupied it, as if passing were merely a temporary absence. Dinner party guests were strictly forbidden from entering. The door remained closed, the shrine sealed from the living world like a tomb holding his heart. Friends reported Webb consulted psychics regularly, desperate to contact Mabel, to receive her guidance and approval from beyond the veil. He couldn't make decisions without imagining her response, couldn't function independently after decades of letting her manage his life and choices. Webb's dinner party guests whispered among themselves. They noticed his obsessive questions about the afterlife, his consultations with psychics, his inability to make even minor decisions without asking what Mother would think. Friends began declining invitations. The man known for sophisticated wit was becoming the tragic joke of Hollywood. A middle-aged bachelor who couldn't function without his late mother's approval. The shrine bedroom became the center of the mansion, the room around which everything else revolved. More important than his own master suite. More important than the living spaces where life continued without her. Webb passed away in 1966, just 6 years after his mother, as if he had been slowly fading without her presence to anchor him in the world. His will contained specific instructions that shocked even his closest friends. All contents of Mabel's room were to be buried with him. The wish was honored. Clothes, perfume bottles, photographs, furniture, everything was interred, reuniting mother and son in the end, as they had been in life. The mansion was sold with a special clause requiring respectful dismantling of the shrine room, acknowledging that this space held significance beyond normal bedroom furniture, that it was essentially a religious site dedicated to maternal worship. The man who had seemed so sophisticated, so independent, so complete, had been hollow without his mother. And the architectural shrine revealed the truth his polished public persona concealed for decades. Mary Pickford, Pikfair. Webb couldn't release his mother's memory. But one star was haunted by a different ghost. Her former husband, whose spirit she believed demanded communication through architectural transformation. Pikfair represented Hollywood royalty at its pinnacle. Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, the silent film industry's greatest stars, built the 18-acre Beverly Hills estate in the 1920s as their personal palace. Einstein visited for intellectual discussions. Chaplin attended dinners with other film legends. European nobility toured the grounds, treating Pikfair as the American equivalent of Buckingham Palace. Pikfair symbolized the glamorous perfection of Hollywood's golden age, a real-life fairy tale romance manifested in marble and gardens. Then came 1936, when Mary and Douglas divorced amid recriminations and regret. 3 years later, Douglas passed away from a heart attack at age 56. Mary's guilt over the divorce transformed into a consuming obsession that would dominate the rest of her life. She converted Pikfair's grand ballroom into a seance chamber, installing special lighting that could be dimmed to create proper atmosphere and acoustic treatments that enhanced the mysterious ambiance mediums required for their work. She hired live-in psychics, spiritual advisors who conducted nightly sessions attempting to contact Douglas across the veil of mortality. Multiple guests reported seeing his apparition on the grand staircase, a translucent figure in formal evening wear descending the steps as he had when alive. When Pikfair had been the center of Hollywood society, Mary became convinced Douglas was trying to communicate, that he haunted Pikfair because she had driven him away in life, because he couldn't rest until she understood the magnitude of her mistake. She blamed herself for the divorce, for his subsequent passing, for everything that had gone wrong in both their lives. The mansion became her penance, a beautiful prison where she subjected herself to constant reminders of lost love, unable to move forward, unable to let him rest. Mary passed away in 1979 after decades of attempting to reach beyond the veil. Pikfair was sold to new owners who reported overwhelming paranormal activity that made the mansion nearly uninhabitable. Footsteps echoed through empty hallways at night. Apparitions appeared in windows when no one was present. Objects moved without explanation, as if invisible hands rearranged the furniture. Actress Pia Zadora and her husband purchased the estate in the 1980s, hoping to restore it to glory and make it livable again. Instead, they found the supernatural activity unbearable, oppressive, inescapable. In 1990, they made the shocking decision to demolish Pikfair entirely, claiming the mansion was too haunted to inhabit, that the accumulated grief and obsession had soaked into the walls beyond any possibility of cleansing. The wrecking ball destroyed Hollywood's most famous residence. But neighbors reported seeing lights in the windows of the empty lot afterward, as if Mary and Douglas continued their eternal dance in a ballroom that no longer physically existed. The mansion built for fairy tale romance became a monument to guilt and obsession, and not even complete demolition could erase what decades of seances and desperate communion with the departed had created within its walls. Thelma Todd. If these architectural secrets have fascinated you as much as they fascinated us in our research, please like this video and share it with anyone who loves old Hollywood's hidden truths. Because our final two estates reveal that sometimes architectural obsessions defy all logic. And sometimes the greatest mystery is why justice failed so completely. Thelma Todd sparkled in comedy films throughout the early 1930s. Her beauty and timing making her a sought-after actress who worked with the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy. She also possessed business acumen unusual for actresses of her era, opening Thelma Todd's Sidewalk Cafe on Pacific Coast Highway, a restaurant that quickly became popular with Hollywood celebrities and wealthy locals seeking ocean views. Todd lived in an apartment above the restaurant, combining business and residence in a single property. On December 16, 1935, her maid discovered Todd's body in the garage, slumped over the steering wheel of her car, unresponsive from carbon monoxide exposure. The official ruling, accidental ending of her own life. Case closed, but evidence contradicted the official story from the very beginning in ways that should have demanded further investigation. The garage door was closed from the outside, latched in a way Todd couldn't have managed from inside the vehicle after losing consciousness. Her blood alcohol level measured impossibly high, suggesting she had been rendered unconscious before being placed in the car. Not that she had driven there voluntarily. Bruises marked her throat in patterns suggesting strangulation, defensive wounds that contradicted the peaceful narrative. Her nose appeared broken, indicating physical struggle shortly before her passing. Most disturbingly, the maid reported hearing Todd return to the apartment alive several hours after the time medical examiners determined life had ended. A discrepancy never adequately explained. A grand jury convened, examining 3 primary suspects with clear motives for wanting Todd eliminated. Roland West, Todd's ex-husband and business partner, lived in the apartment above the restaurant and had feuded with Todd over money and control of the business. Lucky Luciano, the notorious mobster, had been demanding protection money from the restaurant, threatening harm if Todd refused to pay. Todd's business partner had recently increased her life insurance substantially, creating a clear financial motive. The grand jury heard testimony, examined evidence, documented the numerous inconsistencies in the official story that suggested a more sinister end rather than accident. Then, inexplicably, the investigation closed without charges filed. The case was ruled accidental despite overwhelming evidence suggesting otherwise. The evidence points clearly to harm committed by someone with enough influence to ensure the investigation ended quietly. The garage door mechanism alone proves Todd couldn't have locked herself in. The impossible blood alcohol levels suggest forced intoxication or manipulation after the fact. The strangulation bruises tell their own story. But 3 powerful men, an ex-husband, a mobster, and a business partner, all had enough influence to ensure the investigation withered before reaching conclusions. Thelma Todd's case wasn't unsolved because evidence was lacking. It was unsolved because justice could be bought, because Hollywood protected its image above truth, because a woman's life mattered less than the industry's reputation. The garage where Todd perished was sealed by subsequent owners, as if the physical space itself held contamination that might spread. Thelma Todd's passing remains one of Hollywood's most convincing unsolved crimes, a noir mystery where the crime scene itself became a permanent question mark and justice never entered the garage where she drew her last breath. Gable. Todd's mansion held serious secrets that were never solved. But our final star's architectural choice reveals something completely different. And that difference makes it the most important mansion in our entire journey. Clark Gable reigned as the King of Hollywood. His commanding presence in Gone with the Wind, and It Happened One Night, established him as the ultimate leading man, masculine authority personified on screen. But Gable, exhausted by constant performance, wanted something Hollywood couldn't provide. Escape from the crown he'd never asked to wear. In 1939, he purchased a 20-acre ranch in Encino with Carole Lombard, the love of his life and the woman who understood his need to be someone other than the king. The property sat remote and hidden, surrounded by citrus groves. Deliberately difficult to access, designed to discourage the curious and the press. Gable designed the ranch as the opposite of a Hollywood mansion, as a rejection of everything the previous 18 estates represented. The main house followed simple ranch architecture, comfortable but modest, rejecting the ostentatious displays typical of star estates, trying to prove their importance. Working farm elements surrounded the house, making it functional rather than merely decorative. Gable kept chickens and cattle, tending them personally every morning before studio calls, finding satisfaction in physical work that acting never provided. A room housed his hunting equipment, the activity that brought him genuine joy away from cameras and directors. A mechanic shop allowed him to rebuild cars with his own hands, the physical labor providing accomplishment acting couldn't deliver. He established strict rules that protected his sanctuary. No photographers allowed on the property under any circumstances, no publicity, no studio representatives, no intrusion of Hollywood into this carefully protected space where performance ended and life began. At the ranch, Gable wore work clothes, not tuxedos tailored to emphasize his broad shoulders. He repaired fences, fed animals, changed oil in engines, lived as Clark Gable the man, rather than Clark Gable the king. Friends noted he seemed more authentically himself in these moments than during any film performance, more relaxed than they'd ever seen him on a studio lot. After Carole Lombard perished in a plane crash in January 1942 while returning from a war bond tour, the ranch transformed from escape to refuge from grief that threatened to destroy him. Gable worked the land obsessively, sometimes sleeping in the barn with the horses, unable to face the house they had shared and the future they had planned. He found in physical exhaustion a temporary respite from emotional devastation. The ranch allowed him to grieve privately, away from studio demands that he maintain his public image and return to work before he was ready. Gable lived at the ranch until his passing from a heart attack in 1960. His final wife, Kay, eventually sold the property. But those who knew Gable understood his true legacy wasn't the films that made him King of Hollywood. It was this architectural rejection of Hollywood's demands, this deliberate choice to create a space where performance ended and authentic life could exist, however briefly, however hard-won. Gable's ranch wasn't weird or shocking. It wasn't paranoid or delusional. It held no surveillance systems or secret passages. And that's exactly what makes it the most revealing of all. After 18 mansions built by stars who'd lost themselves in performance, who trapped themselves in architectural lies, who'd built shrines and surveillance systems and secret wings to manage the split between public and private selves, Gable built the one honest space in Hollywood. No surveillance to watch others, no secrets requiring concealment, no performance requiring maintenance. Just a man feeding chickens and fixing fences, choosing authenticity over empire, choosing life over image. The King of Hollywood's greatest act wasn't on screen. It was walking away from the palace to live in a barn. These 19 mansions reveal one devastating truth. Fame doesn't change you. It splits you in two. The person the world sees, the person you actually are. When that split becomes unbearable, you build architecture to survive it. Walls, tunnels, shrines, secret wings, surveillance systems. Every mansion we entered was designed to manage the split between public and private self. But here's what we discovered. The architecture didn't contain the struggle. It fed it. Women were caged by their images. Men were pursued by theirs. Davies was trapped for 30 years. Crawford lost in her own mirrors. May performing for ghosts. Gable fled to a barn. Valentino hid behind fortress walls. Lloyd watched everyone through hidden cameras. And only one, Harlo's tunnel, was ever built for love. Many mansions have been demolished, too haunted, too revealing. But one question haunts every foundation we explored. Did the architecture create the prison, or did the prisoner design the cage? Subscribe to Golden Age Files to uncover more hidden truths, Hollywood buried in concrete and gold. Drop a comment. Which mansion shocked you most? Because the stars you worshipped weren't living in dream homes. They were living in architectural manifestations of their own psychological struggles. And now you know why the pink never stopped bleeding through. Thank you for watching.